everyone. Welcome to Zines Part 1. My name is Shanta, and I'll be guiding you through making a zine. So what's a zine? A zine is an independently distributed magazine that's handmade. So in this tutorial, you'll learn how to create a ring-bound, stapled, and folded zine. I'll show you a few ways, even though there's many ways to create a zine. So first you'll need a few supplies. For the ring-bound zine, you'll need a file folder, a few sheets of paper, I'll be using printer paper, a hole punch, a couple book rings, a pencil, and some scissors. For the stapled zine, you'll need a few sheets of paper and a stapler. For the folded zine, you'll just need one sheet of 8.5 by 11 letter paper. So let's get started. First, I'll be demonstrating how to make a zine with book rings. I'm starting with my file folder. You also need a few sheets of paper as well. With the file folder, you'll want to open it up, fold it at the fold in the middle, and crease along the fold. You'll tear or cut the file folder in the center where you just folded it. You only need one sheet of the file folder. This will make the front and back covers of your zine. You can also use heavyweight paper like cardboard or construction paper if you don't have a file folder. I'm folding my file folder in half again and creasing it as well. Then take your printer paper. This will form the inside pages of your zine. I'm folding each piece of printer paper in half to fit inside the file folder. If you're planning on doing any sort of painting inside your zine, I'd recommend using more heavyweight paper, such as watercolor paper, even heavier sketchbook paper as well. I'm stacking each piece of printer paper that I folded on top of each other and lining it up inside my file folder. I'm lining up each piece of paper at the spine of the inside of the file folder. You can also measure where you want your paper to be inside your file folder. I want the papers to be in the center. I'm using a pencil to mark where I'm going to punch holes in my file folder and also in the printer paper. Once I have the holes, that's where the book rings will go. I'm marking 2 dots, one near the top and also one near the bottom. I'm leaving extra space near the top and the bottom because the book rings are somewhat heavy and I don't want them to tear the paper. I'm also marking the dots on the inside and outside of the file folder. Again, you can also measure this if you want a more exact alignment. If you have a paper clip, you can clip together your papers to keep them straight while you're hole punching. I'm using my single hole punch to punch 2 holes where I made my marks. Next, I'm going into my file folder and hole punching where I made my marks as well. The holes that I punched didn't line up exactly where I made my marks, but it seemed to work out okay. I'm inserting my printer paper back inside the file folder. And then I'm taking each book ring and inserting it into the holes that I punched. I'm going through each page of the zine just to make sure that the holes are okay and that each page turns correctly. Lastly, I'm trimming off the tab at the top from the file folder that I had cut down. I'm using my scissors just to trim that down, but you can leave it if you prefer. So my book ring construction journal zine is complete. Next, I'll be demonstrating how to make a stapled zine. So I'm starting with single sheets of printer paper again. You'll start by folding each piece of printer paper in half and creasing at the fold. Then I stacked each folded piece of paper on top of the other one. At first I thought that putting it inside the other one would be best, but I decided to stack it on top. You can choose either way. Next, I used my stapler to staple along the spine. Again, if you have a paper clip, you can clip the pages together to keep them straight while you're stapling. I stapled along my zine 3 times to make it secure. Then I folded each page creased as I turned it to make it easier to flip through with a crease there already. Next, I decided to trim off some overhang, and also turn that into a wavy line alongside the edges of my pages. I thought it would add an interesting decorative look for when I decorate my zine pages next time. If you don't like the look of how your staples look with your printer paper or whichever paper you're using, I decided to use masking tape to cover the staples. I happen to have blue masking tape, so it added a nice pop of color to the page. I first took a small strip of masking tape and covered each staple on the outside, folding along the front and back covers. You can also use duct tape for this as well if you don't have masking tape. Then I decided to go along the entire spine of the outside of my zine to make for a more cohesive look with the masking tape. The same thing, I started on the front cover and folded the tape alongside the back cover as well. If you want the masking tape to fully cover your spine, you can put the tape to the end, the top or bottom of your zine, and then trim off the excess tape. Next, I'm going through the inside pages of my zine, and I'm recreasing my pages now that I've added the masking tape. I spotted a little bit of overhang on the outside, so I'm cutting that off first. So once again, recreasing the folds inside of my zine, going page by page. I also decided to add strips of masking tape inside to reinforce the inner spine of my zine. Then I went through and added a few more strips to cover most of the inner spine. Because the printer paper is so thin, it helps to reinforce the spine. Working in small strips of masking tape is really helpful because this tape is pretty sticky. So if I make a mistake, I can easily lift up the small piece of tape instead of having used a long piece of tape, which might not come up so easily. So my stapled zine is pretty much complete. I'm just going along and smoothing out some of the edges. Next, I'll be making a folded zine. If you're following along, start with your printer paper one piece and fold the piece in half. Make sure to crease at the point of the fold. Next, you'll fold your paper into thirds, creasing at each fold. Then you'll fold your paper in half again. Creasing again. Next, I'm deciding which way I want my zine to be read and how I'll be decorating it. I wasn't sure if I wanted my zine to be unfolded or simply opened up and read. I played around with folding and unfolding it to see how each way looked. Next, I took my pencil and numbered each page of my zine. This is a great reference for yourself when you're decorating each page and for your reader, so they know which order to go in. So my folded zine is complete. So here's a look at the 3 zines that I demonstrated. The first, book ring bound. The second, stapled. And the third, folded. You can choose to have as little or as many pages of your zine that you'd like. It's up to you. If you use more durable paper or heavyweight paper, You may not want to add tape to the spine of your zine for the stapled one. Thank you for watching. So now that you've learned about making zines and maybe made your first zine, what did you discover? What did you like about making a zine? What were things that you didn't like? Was there a style that you preferred? Was there some things that you found out that you didn't like that much? Make sure to share your art on the Calabasas Live, LIV, SRP 20 hashtag on social media. Thanks for watching.